Good evening, everybody, or afternoon, or late evening for you folks in a different country. Welcome to another Friday, and you guys have made it through the work week, and you're here today, right now on this live stream. Because what other place would you rather be? What else would you rather do? There's nothing to do. It's gonna be cold. The snow's gonna be here soon. So it's nice to be nice and toasty here, sitting in front of the computer or your phone and watching price tag aquariums. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you guys are doing great. It's been a fun-filled week for me, and I hope it has been for you as well. I have a really good topic to talk about, but we'll wait for more people to come in as we go along because I feel like I have touched base on this a little bit with some folks, but I kind of like reiterating this topic and just re-highlighting some stuff and then coming up with some new stuff as I go along because I feel like this topic is a very important topic to talk about and not too scary, as the title and the thumbnail says. So welcome in. Thanks for coming in and joining in on your Friday evening. Nonetheless, I appreciate every bit of your attendance and your undivided attention. And I just hope that you have some really good plans for the weekend. We are going to get snowed in really bad. It's all supposed to hit Saturday evening, probably around 9-10 o'clock, and we're supposed to get roughly, give or take, about a foot of snow. And right now it is 1 degree here in Northeast Ohio, here in the lovely area of Canton, Ohio. So let me know, Ian and Tim, they're the first ones in here. Please give me a thumbs up on the audio and visual. I am using NVIDIA Broadcast, so I'm hoping that everything works out good. I love using this thing, so I'm glad that Tim was able to hook me up with this broadcast and get me all situated with this, because this is what I use upstairs as well. It really helps you be able to zoom in on certain spots, helps you run with like the clarity of it, the visuals. You can mess with the frame rates and all that sort of thing, and that's great. So thank you, Tim. This is my goal for this entire weekend, as this is not my only live stream this weekend. So as an announcement too, this is kind of like my whole entire goal for 2026, or at least one of them, is to have good quality streams for you guys and try to have the right equipment, the right software, the right hardware, and everything that goes along with it to be able to entertain you guys for whatever I decide to do and come up with greater and bigger and better content as well. So if you guys don't follow Salient Aquatics, also Jesse, he is doing goals for 2026, and I will probably be more than likely joining his live stream tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys don't follow him, I could probably leave his channel link real quick here for you guys, if you give me a second. But yeah, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, I'll be on his channel. We're going to talk about fish keeping goals for 2026. So that should be entertaining. We'll have quite a few people on there as well. And I think it'll be really fun. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. And then tomorrow night, I really wanted to reiterate, and I'm sure if one of my Factor Terror buddies, Mike Miller, if he's listening in, he would have recognized my makeup already, because it was from the Factor Terror when I was at this year, that I'm going to continue to do so at every haunt season. But that's the makeup that I used for my thumbnail about if fish keeping can be scary. But let me see here. Yeah, it was very entertaining to do that, and I kind of got a good laugh out of it. But that's why I wanted to add it in to see if anyone from the Factory Terror people would notice and be like, hey, you know what? I bet you use that from Factory Terror. So I added that in as a nice little kick. And also an announcement for you guys. For tomorrow night, it's going to be a non-fish keeping related live stream. We had a couple people that joined in. I think it was like 2 or 3 people that joined in last time when I did this, but I'm also doing a Silent Hill run through. It's the newest Silent Hill game, Silent Hill F. So that's kind of what I wanted to put, like this scary picture of me from Factory Terror. And then tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, my friend Tim's going to come over. His name's Shadow Shrug on there. And we are going to do a late night live stream for the horror game that I'm streaming tomorrow. And Tim's going to come over and help me out with the quality issues we've been having and doing some testing on OBS and that sort of thing. So I want to give out like a few announcements here and there just to let you guys know what's going on. And I have some other announcements as well. Nothing major, but it's just a lot of stuff going on this year and a lot of plans. I don't want to release too much because if I'm going to be on Jesse's live stream tomorrow morning for goals, you guys could probably hear some from me now, but I kind of want to save some of those for his live stream, so that way we can have a discussion about that. And I'm sure he has some and I have some. So essentially my main goal, like I said already before, is to have a goal to give you guys some of the best quality content that I can do to the best of my knowledge, with the help of my good friend Tim, to giving me the correct software, and to try to give you guys good videos and good quality content that you guys can look back on to enjoy and be entertained with, and also maybe learn from a little bit. So that's kind of like a general thing of what I want to do. Try new things. That's another thing I want to do for 2026, to continue to try new things. And I'll go into detail about that probably tomorrow. So I want to try to stick to today's topic as well. So 1 degree. Yes, it is 1 degree here in Northeast Ohio, and it could get down to as low as -4, I think I saw, Mom. So everyone say hello to my mom. Mom, you got to nudge my dad a little bit and make sure that he gets on my live stream, unless he's busy with the boat and all that sort of thing. I did talk to him. I did let him know, so you might want to text him and see if he's available. But it should be fun. Should be a great weekend. We're going to spend the whole weekend pretty much indoors because of it being frigid cold, and also very, very snowy starting Saturday night through Monday. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have grabbed your favorite beverage. Mine is just water right now, but it's fruit punch. So I have to be on top of my game before I have anything other than water. So all right, so who do we got in here? We got my mom is in here, my friend Tim Shadow Shrug is in here. Thanks for coming in. We got Ian. Thanks for coming in and hanging out as always. I appreciate it. And we got Whip in here. So thanks for coming in, Whip. Appreciate it. Looks like we got a few people coming in through Facebook. Other than that, I do have my Twitch running as well, but whether or not I get any followers from it, who knows? But we will soon find out. So yeah, this is a great background, and thanks for making it, Whip. I appreciate it. I try to get your live streams on as well, and it's very hard to get everybody all the time. So I do what I can, and we all do what we can. It's a little easier in the wintertime because we're stuck inside our homes, taking care of our glass boxes. But when it comes to summertime, we all want to go do cookouts and that sort of thing. And we got Super Bowl preparations right now. So, I mean, that's another thing. But this is, I love this background too. I really can't complain too much about it because this was a very, very big project that I had done last winter. I had gotten this fish tank. For anyone who doesn't know about it, long story short, I got this fish tank last year. It started in December. And I didn't even get it up and running until I could even check my app when I started it. I started this tank in August 11th of last year. So it's crazy how this sat in my basement like shortly after Christmas and the story behind it. And I didn't even get it started and up and running until August. So it's crazy to even think about that. Beginning of August is when I got this thing finally up and running. But a lot of preparations. A lot of things to get rid of, and once the famous saying is when you lose some things, you get new opportunities for fun and new and exciting things. So I'm happy about it, and I really like it. It's a 220-gallon tank behind me. It's nothing but peacocks at the moment, African cichlids. For all you guys who don't know, I grew and raised these fish up myself, and this is why this fish tank is made has been really special for me. So yeah, plenty of live streams up. It's hard to catch each and every one of you, but I do appreciate each and every one of you coming in and getting your undivided attention for at least a few minutes here and there, and that we can have a nice conversation about fish keeping, what the world's going on, with anything else, and mainly just keep it, family friendly, and we all can hang out and have a great time, and hopefully we can learn something from each other and enjoy the entertainment. So thanks again, I appreciate it. So now that we got a few people in here and we're listening in, I want to talk about the main topic and the main event for tonight is, can fish keeping be scary? I feel like that this is a topic that I've touched base on before, and I've had Brant and Lightcap on here. We've kind of touched base on a few of these points that I want to point out here. I know it's kind of a topic that can be a little redundant, but I feel like if I do a little bit of my own takes on a few things and how I feel about some of this stuff, I feel like it's a good topic to just to kind of refresh our memory, refresh our fish keeping knowledge, at the beginning of the year. So that way we can kind of think, yeah, some of the stuff might be scary and it might, hinder people from getting a fish tank. And granted, fish keeping isn't for everybody. Everyone has their own topics. Everyone has their own hobbies. Everyone has their own interests. So we all want to make sure that we cater to those as well. But for the people that want to join fish keeping and are nervous doing it because they might think it's scary because of XYZ, I want to take some time with you guys to kind of run through some points that I think are important to bring up. And I'll even let you guys know one thing that I've always been nervous about and I'm afraid to get into. And I guess I wouldn't say I'm not necessarily afraid to admit that I'm afraid of this. But it's just something that I never did, and I probably could have done recently, but I decided not to because of my comfort zone. So this is kind of like one of my goals essentially, is to try to continue on with my planted tank, try to keep that under control, and continue to learn, continue to do new things, keep the fish keeping hobby productive, and make sure that we're still learning and not getting complacent and not afraid to try new things because it can be scary. So some of these points that I want to bring up to you guys is first and foremost is I feel like just starting the hobby in general with fish keeping can be somewhat nerve-wracking, especially if you're younger and you want kids and their parents who want to get involved with it and stuff. First time fish keeping can be kind of nervous because you're kind of getting introduced into the nitrogen cycle, and it's a lot to take in at first. But if you kind of dive in, get some information from either your local fish stores, you get some information online, whether it be through your YouTube community, your friends through Facebook and social media, and then whoever else that you want to get that knowledge from. So that can be kind of a scary to begin with because you kind of quite don't know what to do. And then you kind of learn as you go along, and then you learn from your mistakes. And sometimes that actually can be the best way to learn, is even though you're afraid to start something, it can be a little scary to do it. Sometimes the best things that you can learn from is through your mistakes. And I feel like that's a very important thing to it's a very important thing to, I guess, experience in this matter. Those are some of the best ways that I can learn just from my mistakes that I've made and different things that I've done. And then when something doesn't work out and then something happens like a total fish loss, or something happened to your water quality, or something dramatic happens, something devastating. So this is a point that I want to bring up too. So say like some people might be afraid of starting fish keeping because something devastating might happen to them. Like they might spend a lot of money on this fish, starting up a fish tank, even if it's a 20-gallon long tank. You might start up with, you got to think, you got to get your substrate, your decorations, your filtration, your background, and anything else that's involved with it. What if someone were to start all this up get a bunch of fish, and then next thing you know, the 10 fish that they bought, they all died within a month, give or take. And that's something that's kind of hard to a tough pill to swallow, and it's on the learning process. Um, but it's important to learn from those mistakes, so that way, if you want to continue on with the fish keeping, um, try to figure out the best way you can to learn from that. So I feel like that might be a reason why people would be afraid to get into the fish keeping, is because the consistent possible threat of to devastating diseases and how to treat. A lot of people don't want to use quarantine tanks because they just want one or two tanks for their house and place them where they need to as a presentable spot. And if something bad happens, um, God forbid that you lose all your fish. I just talked to an individual on a side note um, that I was in talks with him through Facebook Messenger, and he had an issue with his tank, and it was absolutely devastating for him. So we were all trying to figure that out, and that can be a big loss. So I feel like that might be something that's scary, or could be a fear of, is losing a bunch of fish. And you guys can let me know in the comments too as well, that if you've ever had an experience like that to where you lost a bunch of fish. I can share you my experience. I have been downsizing, long story short, and a side note, that I have been downsizing fish tanks due to life and family in general. And I had, before this all happened, I had lost a bunch of fish due to aggression. And figuring out an African cichlid tank is nothing short of challenging. So learning from my mistakes and learning how costly it can be, especially when you really want that beautiful fish that you've always wanted and you've seen in the fish drawer and you couldn't afford, and then when you finally do, and then you get it in its tank, and then about a month later it dies due to something happening, and that can be very devastating. And when you realize it's happening over and over, and you realize, okay, something's got to change, and that's when I knew I had to get rid of my fish tank. So that's something I have learned from, that it wasn't worth it. It's not worth spending all this time and stress, because fish keeping, as we all know, should be relaxing. We should be able to set our tanks up, get everything going, learn the nitrogen cycle, and get our filtrations and everything set up. And then we need to spend more time enjoying our fish and relaxing. And that's what we want to do, because it's supposed to be therapeutic, right? We want to enjoy our hobby. We don't want to be stressed about it. We want to enjoy each and every one of our hobbies, no matter what it is. And granted, there's going to be some unfortunate events, I should say, but we need to learn from them and be able to manage them so we can enjoy our hobby once again. So I hope that all makes sense. Hey, Jose. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Yes. Yes, I do know that one, Jose. And if anyone who doesn't follow Joy of Fish Keeping, his name is Jose. He's very knowledgeable, and he has very beautiful fish. He's been on my live stream several times. And he has shared some stories with me, good and bad. And it's nice to be able to have these experiences, because then we can learn from them, and then we can also move on from them and to keep going with this fish keeping hobby and try to keep everyone here for the long run, right? So he's definitely has some stories. I've had some stories, and we've all, as we go along, as years go by, there's never a dull moment in the fish room. I swear. Everything, thankfully, knock on wood. I did lose one fish this past week, which kind of sucked, because it was one from Imperial Tropicals, but maybe one day I'll buy from them again. But yeah, thanks for coming in, Jose. I appreciate it. Mom, did you get a hold of my dad? I don't see him on the live stream yet. I haven't seen him in the chat. June, thanks for coming in. I definitely can relate to you. This whole thing with aggression is and misdiagnosing disease. And not all ick is ick. So let me re-elaborate a little bit on that. With the individual that I was talking to, like I just mentioned. And it really sucks when you misdiagnose a disease, because especially when it's so opposite of what your treatment is. And if I had known, or I'd gotten pictures before I knew what it was, it's kind of sucks, because you kind of go by what the word is. And I wish I had known, because if I think that was the case, we probably could have prevented a little bit more fish loss. But it's okay though, because we worked through it and we realized together what it was. Because initially, like you said, June, not every ick is ick, and it ended up being epistylus and is polar opposites of how you treat it. And you actually worsen the epistylus if you treat it by ick disease. So that was unfortunate, but I'm hoping that whenever I talk to him again in the future, that hopefully he won't be a fear and be scared of staying in the fish keeping hobby. And I really hope that he still stays and sticks with it. But whether or not he does, that's completely 100% his decision. And it's unfortunate, but that can be one thing that can be devastating and can be kind of scary for someone to want to get back into the hobby. So I totally get it. I was very frustrated whenever I lost fish due to aggression. I mean, I was losing expensive fish, and I can relate to it. And it was so frustrating just to be able to go through that. So that was scary for me. And if it wasn't fun, then I had to change something. I had to tear that tank down and rechange some things, or redo some things, I should say, to make things happier for me. And it definitely has made a huge change for me. And I've been doing different things in the fish room down here, even at the end of 2025, including this tank behind me. So it's been fun. And you want to catch them early. Sometimes even I'm at fault for this too, that if you don't catch a disease early enough, you think, oh, well, he might be okay. And then next thing you know, 2 or 3 days go by, life gets busy, XYZ, work, life, general, that sort of thing. And then next thing you know, your whole tank is infected. And that can save a lot of fish, just like Jose is saying. Yep. Last year was rough for me too. I would say the beginning of 2025 was a rough time for me. If I look through my app here, let me go through my notes here real quick for you guys. And I will even, hopefully I still have the history of this on here. When did I move all this stuff? So we're still in 2025. So I lost a big frontosa. July, I lost a lithobait. There were some OGs of Anusis died. This is all in June of 2025. A Walteri, May, Steve and I, Taiwan Reef, Haplochromis, Niari died, an OB cichlid. I mean, it was just fish after fish after fish. It was like probably beginning of March is when I started losing fish. Electric Blue Ali died. And I'm just going through my app here, and it's just absolutely insane. And once that all started happening, when you're spending money and time and energy, it gets you to the point to where it's like, all right, something needs to change, because if I keep trying to do this, nothing's going to work out. So I totally get it. So moving on to my second point about why fish keeping can be scary. And I guess the one thing, now to reiterate that first step, my first number is to just keep up with your water changes and do maintenance. Diseases can be rendered by keeping up with your water changes. Check your filters, make sure they're all working in good condition, and make sure you're doing your maintenance, your water changes, watching your fish, watching their attitudes and that sort of thing. So that's kind of like I want to do a what is a scary thing about fish keeping, and then what can you do to help make it not so scary and make you want to keep doing it, and help you out in the future. So that's kind of my point of tonight's stream, is to go through 6 points and then 2 extra bonus points, and then my thoughts about that as well. So my first point is consistent threat to devastating diseases and how to treat, in quarantine tanks, and just do your water change and your maintenance. So my second point is that could be scary, is being responsible for an ecosystem, and especially for new fish keepers. So that can be something that you might hinder yourself to start your fish keeping career. It's a lot to take in, a lot to learn about the nitrogen cycle and understand exactly how it works. You can simplify it to make it easier for you, but if you really want to get involved with it and know exactly how the water chemistry is behind it, and how the ecosystem works with ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate, and how that all takes an effect in the cycle of it, that's definitely something to be in knowledge with. So you are solely responsible for these fish keeping survival, or for the fish and their survival. So if that's something that you're not willing to take in and really dive in deep with it, no pun intended, then it can be nerve wracking. Is some people want to be, or I shouldn't say some people, how would I put this? A lot of setups, can be easy. If you put plants in and everything, they can take care of themselves most of the time if you get to know the knowledge about it. And if you just want to come in and feed your fish and enjoy them in your living room or in your wherever room that's you're have the most traffic in to be entertained with, then planted tank's the way to go. But if not, then you have to know what your bio load is for your fish, how big a filtration, and the size of the tank, and what can actually hold the fish that's the size of the fish, and if it's manageable, and if you're going to be able to have a new tank for it as the fish gets bigger. So you are solely responsible for the ecosystem and the growing of that fish and taking care of it. So it's a lot to take in, a lot to take care of. It's sometimes can't be as easy as setting up a fish tank and then just letting it go. It's a lot to do, and it takes a lot of time. And that's something I have realized even myself. And that's why I've had to take down some fish tanks to accommodate my lifestyle, because the time that I have is, not feasible when I'm trying to breed fish like I was before. So I think a good way to try to even that out and make it not so nerve wracking and scary for you is to one of the things that I think is important for your ecosystem is to feed good quality food. I, in particular, am the most food that I use the most is Northfin. And there's a lot of good foods out there. There's a lot of filler foods out there. So you got to be careful on which foods you get and really look at the back of the ingredients and know what you're looking for. But I think first and foremost is what you feed your fish. And this is the reason why I choose Northfin. Sarah makes good food. Extreme does, high quality, easily digestible food. Um, and what's the other food I can't think of? Oh, New Life Spectrum. That's right. So that's a good quality food. Hey Tim, thanks for coming in. And just by reading like some of the ingredients off of this, you're looking at stuff like whole krill, herring, sardine, spirulina, and kelp. There's garlic on here just to help with the fish, to like it better. But you have nice, good quality, real food that comes from real fish that are made into this bag here. And I have a mixture of this, and it's actually, I made these bins here. Jesse knows, he has really big bins for him, but I've just kind of taken the bags apart and labeled them as, what they are. So I put all of them and I just wrapped it around these bins. And I have everything in here from regular sacred food, higher protein, along with a veggie mix, and spirulina, and New Life Spectrum, and extreme pellets. So then I've also had, veggie. I have Northfin veggie, so that's why I put on the side here. So it's just good to have high quality foods. One of the things that I did new this past year is when I went to the Ohio Cichlid Association, is Cunningham Tropicals, Ben Ochart. He really likes them a lot. He knows them personally, and I got some of their premium special blend for community fish, and I've really liked this. It's done me very well, and my fish just go crazy for this stuff. So whenever this stuff starts to get really low, I'm going to have to get some more of it, because the ingredients in this is, it's got good protein, catfish, shrimp, high protein. And those are the first few ingredients that are on here on the back of this too. I mean, you need something that's going to be easily digestible. It's got spirulina. I mean, it's just a works. I mean, this stuff has just been great for me, and I can't complain enough. So I feel like that is nice to have for a good quality food, taking care of your fish tanks, doing your maintenance, doing your water changes. And I think that all kind of coincides as well with being responsible for your ecosystem. Hey, Dad, thanks for coming in. I was wondering where you were. All right, Jose, thanks for the lurk. Sounds good. All right, so on my third point, and these are in no in particular order as well. Is my third point that I've come up with is you have to probably face a little bit of criticism, and you got to be careful with this one, just because the fact that whenever you're trying to get help, and granted, my best help has been with this YouTube community. Um, it has been with the fish fan community. It's been through YouTube. I've gotten to know a lot of good folks through the YouTube community. I've exchanged phone numbers with my personal phone number with a few people. We've helped each other out a lot, and you guys all know who you are. And it's really helped me help others as well, including my friend Tim, which he started a tank due to me helping him out and getting him started. So he's been doing phenomenal with that. And other people that I've talked to getting rid of fish tanks. Long story short, I've talked to people and I've helped them out whenever I was selling tanks and get rid of decorations and stuff. That they would come here to my fish room, and then I would talk to them, longer than they were to come in and buy the fish tank or the decorations for me or the fish that I was selling. And I ended up talking to them for about like an hour here, just hanging out and just giving them my knowledge and helping them out, get things started. So, but at the same time, what's important is you got to be careful about it, because you got to be careful where you get your knowledge from and how trustworthy your source will be. Um, and you don't have to take everything in consideration, but at least try to pull bits and pieces from things that you want to take back to your fish room and be important to you. And the reason I say that is because it's okay to have constructive criticism, but if you have non-constructive criticism and people are just wanting to try to tell you what to do, you kind of have to do things your own way. As Jim from Happy Place Aquatic says, that it's your hobby and do it your way. And just because it works out for somebody doesn't mean it's going to work out 100% for you. But it's okay to take some of that information and apply it into your own hobby and into your own fish keeping career. And if it works, great, but it doesn't mean that you can beat it down with a dead horse. Or beat it down like a dead horse, I guess I should say, for lots of better terms, and try to continue to make it work, and it just doesn't work. Because you have to think that every fish keeping situation is different. Whether what type of fish, the size tank, saltwater, freshwater, and that sort of thing. So I feel like that's a really good important to. Hey, Select Pet, thanks for coming in. So I feel like constructive criticism for someone saying, "Hey, I noticed that that your fish is looking sick, and so this is what worked for me. This is why I have changed my channel, because I like to talk from experience. So I'm saying, hey, look, this is what I did. This is what happened to me, and this is what worked for me. This is the food that works for me. So I'm not saying like, hey, use Northfin foods. I'm not saying use anything else. I'm just saying, hey, this is what works for me. My fish are growing, they're happy, and they're healthy." And they've never really had any issues with not eating it. Some people that I've heard from, that they say they've used Northfin and they spit it right back out, so they feed them something else. So like I said, what worked for somebody may not work for somebody else. But it's okay to take that constructive criticism and say, hey, look, I messed up on something. I need your help? And could you let me know what's worked for you? And I can tell you what has and what has not worked for me. And then the things you got to be careful about is just taking criticism from people that you really don't necessarily know, or maybe a fish store like a big box store where these people are like just working as a general employee. And you say, well, they might know a little bit because they have a fish tank at home, but at the same time, just take what you can and use what you can to the best of your knowledge and the best of their knowledge, and then try to see what works and what doesn't. So that's kind of a workaround of how to as a no bashing situation. You don't want to bash people for what they're doing, because we all want to enjoy this hobby, right? So, but yeah, and I agree. There's so many ways to do this hobby, and that's what's great about this too. Select Pet, is that there's so many hobbies out there, but in my own opinion, this hobby, I mean, you literally can get a 2-gallon tank or a 300 plus gallon tank. And you can put whatever the heck you want to put in it. I mean, if you go buy something else for a non-relative hobby, It's just, in my opinion, just not as diverse as what a fish keeping hobby is, because there's just so much you can do with it. Between the fish, the decorations. I mean, it's literally a hobby that you can personalize more than I think any other hobby out there. Now you can there's a lot of fun hobbies out there, you know, particularly to your personality and your taste and your likes and stuff. But I mean, with fish keeping, I mean, there's so much out there between the plants, the rocks, the substrate, the backgrounds, and anything you want to do. I mean, it's just whatever you want to do. You can do that too. Yeah, whatever your heart desires. If you want to have a whole giant home for one fish, and that's on you. But yeah, criticism. That was my third point for this. Um, so now that I'm about halfway through, I'll give my voice a break and see what you guys have to say. If you, I would appreciate you guys giving me a thumbs up, liking the live stream. I appreciate each and every one of you. I like to try to do like a halfway point here and see what you guys have to say. So yeah. What else do we got here? Let's go to equipment failure. That could be something scary too. And anyone who wants to comment on here is more than likely or more than welcome to do so. But yeah, anyways, another reason why fish keeping could be scary is they might be afraid of equipment failure. And that could go anywhere between heaters, filtration, and even the tank itself. Because I think that's kind of equipment essentially, because it's what's keeping your fish alive, right? And if that equipment breaks and you don't know how to seal a tank, then you might be in trouble. So some things that I have come up with is some of the heaters might malfunction. I've had that happen before too, and it was an Amazon heater, and I didn't have any problem with the same heaters that I had at the time when I was breeding fish, but the tank was a 20-gallon long, and I had about 25 or so ACI yellowtail and Bunas in there, and I was breeding them. And then I came downstairs the next day, and they were all dead on the ground due to a heater malfunction, and it failed, and it heated the tank up to like 90, 98 degrees, give or take, and they were all gone. Who knows what time that all happened. So whether it be the heater, whether it be the filter that malfunctions, that could be something scary to think about. Simpler setups really probably wouldn't be too nerve-wracking. But as far as bigger setups, I think that would be the only caveat in that is the bigger the tank, the bigger the filtration you're going to need, the more expensive it's going to be, which also could possibly potentially heighten up the equipment failure malfunction if not taken properly. You know, if you lube your seals, lubricate your seals and your canister filters, you remove all your if you're into the whole carbon and chemical filtration, to replace all that. If you want to clear any medication for your fish, if something fails, are you going to have a backup plan? Are you going to have a spare tank or a spare filter that you can replace if something goes bad? Is there any media that has been caked up in there that you have been behind on your maintenance that you need to do your maintenance in? Because some people don't like doing a whole lot of maintenance as far as canisters. That's one thing that some people might be afraid of for canister filters, is they don't want to get in there and take everything apart and then see what's going on in there and put it all back together, because it can be a lot of work. And some people also, like for example, like the FX6s, they are heavy. They are really freaking heavy, filled with water and media and detritus and that sort of thing. So that can be a lot of work. But for me, I'm a canister guy. I mean, I love my canister filters. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 canisters running in with all my tanks right now in my fish room. 1 upstairs, including with that 6. So, hey Jim, I was just talking about you, saying about it's your hobby, do it your way. So there's 1,000 ways to do this hobby. But I'll go through your comments here about this too. Ian says something simple like a blocked propeller from one of your filters, and that can happen too. So that's another thing, is like your impellers on your canister filters, to make sure you maintain those, because something could be as simple as just clogging up in your impellers, and that could cause that water flow to really go down really quick, especially as buildup increases and the longer you go with it being blocked or not being maintained, and it gets that buildup, then it can cause failures for that too, and it can cause the motor to burn up. Select Pet says, I started setting up another tank in the house, and my daughter asks, this one won't explode too, will it? Referring to a 10-gallon. And it had a faulty heater shatter the glass. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Thanks for coming in, Jim, by the way, but that's insane. Select Pet, I would never imagine a heater shatter the glass. Wow. Jim's got 14 canisters running, so he's a canister guy too. And sponges are usually the way to go. I have quite a few sponges, but I've also used Biomeda, and I'm a huge fan of Biomeda because it's worked for me. I have Biomeda in my canister, so just the slightest overkill, Jose. just a little bit. Now, if you put an FX6 on a 2-gallon, I don't think you would have any water in it. I think all the water would just be on the ground. It's funny because you would have more water in your canister filter than you would your fish tank. That's a little bit of an overkill. But yeah, I that is unbelievable. Super hot. So thankfully, I didn't have that happen to my 20-gallon. Granted, I have the luxury of having my fish room in the basement, but holy smoke. So anyways, going along with this equipment failure, there's some things that you can do to prevent that. Like we discussed already, maintenance on your filters. Keep up with it. Open up your canisters. Open up your hang on the backs. Check them out. Rinse them out in tap water. Don't freak out because you're rinsing them out in tap water, because you're going to be fine. If you have a well-established tank like I do, and your substrate is just filled with beneficial bacteria, it's all over the decorations, you have a very healthy, sustainable, and very long-term tank, you're going to be fine. Anyways, one thing, there's quite a few things that you can do to prevent equipment failure. What we just mentioned, you want to get some high quality equipment. And my personal preference is, I don't have a lot of these. Granted, I do have a basement fish room that's controlled by a temperature controlled room. If you guys are channel members, you'd be able to look up and see how I have a temperature controlled basement. So I don't have any heaters except for my planted tank. That's the only tank that I have with a heater on it, that I want to kind of keep it around like 78, 79. It's just a personal preference. It is the furthest away from how I temperature control this basement. But these are kind of on the pricey side. I have a couple of these, and I had to replace this one because actually Siche, they have a 5-year warranty, and their warranties are pretty good with almost everything that they do, if not everything they do. But long story short, all you gotta do is call the company and they'll just replace these things. That's the best thing about these Siche heaters. I'm not a huge fan of their app per se, because it's kind of finicky when you have to get the phone to work with the temperature adjustments. But if these ever went bad, I had one go bad on me, and they asked very little questions, and they said, yeah, just throw it away, we'll give you a new one. I mean, it's that simple with this warranty. And that's one thing that's nice about equipment failures, is if you buy a heater, and this is like titanium. Yeah, this is really, really, really good material. And if you can find a product with a warranty, even fish tanks, if you keep the receipt and buy fish tanks with a warranty on it, they'll more than likely just replace it. And if you have a spare heater, or if you have a spare tank or anything like that, that's highly recommendable. for equipment failures. So that way, if something does happen or if something may happen as a preventative maintenance, I should say, then that's something I would highly recommend to kind of get you away from not being so scared of being equipment failure. Um, Inkbirds, they make Inkbirds that you can plug into, so where if the temperature gets too hot, that those Inkbirds will automatically shut off in case of a heater malfunction. That's what I have upstairs in my tank right now, because those fish are going to take forever to grow up, but they're looking great. And it's a very special tank for me. And I don't want anything to happen to it as far as equipment failures, as far as heaters go. But it also has one of these Shiche heaters, these titanium heaters, to make sure that something stupid doesn't happen with that. So, other thing is, if you ever had the power go out, that would be essentially another equipment failure if you think about it, because your equipment's not working, right? One of the things that I've invested in is one of these things. This is a smaller version of it, but it's a Jackery UPS uninterrupted power supply, I guess I really can't say technically uninterrupted, because even if the power goes out, I have to come down here and plug in my linear piston pump that runs all the air down here in my fish room. So I still have to come down here, and it does get interrupted, but then it gets reintroduced when I plug this in. So it's just a battery operated charger. If you have a lot of fish tanks, or if you have a fish tank that's in particular to your liking, that you really have a special piece in your heart for, then these Jackeries, these power supplies, power supplies, is perfect to have for a fish room. So if the power does go out, you have this to plug into for hopefully a short period of time, but it just makes it more of like a peace of mind to have. So that way, if something does happen, that you're prepared for equipment failure or if the power goes out. Another thing I want to reiterate with the heater too is, and I'm going to be doing a video on this for Higer, because they got me a product to do a video for. So I'm going to be working on that in the future. But I won't give out too much information, but there's this heater here. And I'm kind of like 50-50 on Higer products, but I got one of these recently. So this is going to be kind of a teaser for you guys. But apparently, according to the description, that this has an auto power off and warning signal whenever, like, say if the heater were to fail, that it would let you know and give you a warning sign. So that way, for example, like say if something happened to the fish tank and it was leaking and you weren't around, God forbid that doesn't happen, but the heater will automatically shut off in an emergency situation. Or on the flip side, if your heater malfunctions and the temperature raises, it won't go past what I believe is 94 degrees. So if it ever reaches that 94 degrees in your fish tank, the heater will shut off automatically too. So I'm going to be testing that in my video, and I'm going to like empty a fish tank and I'm going to raise the temperature in that fish tank to see if that is really the case for this heater. Because I'm very curious. I've never seen a heater like that before to it'll shut off in case of a malfunction or if a tank leak or that sort of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing works out. So that's another thing. But yeah, I agree with the whole thing. I think that's a good topic to talk about too, and I think we've all talked about that before. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. And I'll hit you up soon. Sounds good. All right. So then, equipment failure. One last thing I want to point up to is, or bring up, is that one thing that I'm actually afraid of, and I'm not really necessarily afraid to admit to it, but it's just something I've never tried, and that is sumps. And what that came arise for me, and that actually what actually caused me to do a live stream like this too, is because this was relative to it. Is I debated a sump for this 220 behind me, and I was just in my comfort zone, and I already had one FX6 already, so I just had to get another one. So I was like, you know what, let's just do it, and just get another FX6, and we'll just call it a day. But my next fish tank, I'm planning on having another big fish tank in the future, so I don't want to get too in depth with that and stay on topic. But I know Scotty Raising Fishes, he's got sumps in his fish room, and he loves them. And that's one thing that I would love to try this year down the road at some point. And that's one thing that I'm afraid of that could be a little scary for me. But you got to try new things, right? And keep the hobby fresh, right? So that's one thing that I'm going to be trying this year, and hopefully not have any equipment failures. But fingers crossed that whenever that time comes this year, that's kind of one thing I want to try to get into and just to have. So we'll see. But that's one thing that I admit that I'm afraid of is having sumps. So, anyways, moving to my next two and then my two bonus ones. Um, I'm assuming you have sumps yourself. People love them. There's quite a few people I know that use them. Like I said, I'm a canister guy myself, but people that use sumps, they say that they're great, easy to access, easy to do maintenance on the sponges that are in there. Just take them out of the tank, do what you need to do, and put them right back in. Easy. And I guess just taking the time to set up, I guess, is and be knowledgeable of it. That's like one of two things that I have not knowledge myself enough with yet to know how to run them and what to do with them. That and saltwater tanks. So for the future planning for sure. Um, so the fifth thing that could be scary is unpredictability. So what I mean by that is fish die off suddenly. You kind of question your sanity on your fish keeping. But sometimes you have to realize, that comes with equipment failures too. Is that just the unpredictability of fish dying off, equipment failures, power going off, that might, hinder away from people wanting to start up a fish tank and keep it running. And that can be scary too. You don't want to spend a whole lot of money on fish just for them to either die off, randomly, and there's no rhyme or reason why. And the only reason that, sometimes you can only think of is just from of old age and dying. So that's something to think about when it comes to fish keeping and why it might be scary for somebody. But on ways to combat that, especially with African cichlids, I wanted to reiterate with that too, because with African cichlids, they got that switch in their brain that it could just switch at any moment to where next thing you know, they're friendly as friendly could be. And next thing you know, that one thing makes them mad and they just go on a killing spree. And that's happened before with my fish tank upstairs. That's why I no longer have it upstairs anymore, because that was one thing I learned from that I just didn't want to do it anymore. It wasn't worth it to me, and I'm not going to throw away money anymore. So that unpredictability, granted, I still have African cichlids back here and Mbunas, so I can't really, with cichlids in general, you just kind of have to be on the watch for on a semi-regular basis. um, but you just have to be prepared for it. And ways to combat at that would be um, you may not want an African cichlid tank. Fish keeping may not be for you, um, which is totally understandable. And I totally get that. Sometimes the unpredictability of anything happening, of what we had already discussed, could happen. And you don't want to lose out on that money of the time and energy and effort you put into buying the fish tank and getting it set up and then getting your fish, the whole kit and caboodle. And then everything could just go kaput just because of something might happen that's beyond your control, either by mother nature or by fish nature. So another thing would be, say, for example, like if you have a tank leak or something, we all don't have the luxury of having a fish room in a convenient spot to where if you have a tank leak that it won't ruin our floors, to be fair. Um, so that's something to consider, that if you're not comfortable with having it in an area where it's like carpeted or in a family room where there's a lot of electronics, or if there's something that you're like, well, maybe this shouldn't be here just for the fact of it might not be at the greatest spot due to the high traffic and you might cause issues down the road as far as spills, tank cracks, and if something were drastic would have happened, like an equipment failure and ruin your floors. um, and it's something to think about, the sturdiness of your stand. That's gonna be another unpredictability thing, that if you make your own stand, make sure it's sturdy enough to hold the weight of your fish tank, sort of thing. So I feel like that's an important thing to touch base on. um but yeah,
And then and then the sixth thing I have on here is, in the worst case, like I said, like that's actually 5 and 6 kind of go together, with unpredictability and like have a tank crack and break. So to combat against that, to not make it so scary, is to buy a reliable tank. If there's a certain brand that you like in particular, that you love, and you want to be able to have that peace of mind of buying it from your local fish store brand new and saying, hey, it's got a warranty with it. Is anything going to happen to it? I don't have to worry about fixing a leak. I can just call them, give them the receipt, and then they're going to replace me. They're going to replace the tank with a new one, and that sort of thing. If you don't want to do through Facebook Marketplace because of that chance of it, getting a tank from someone, and then when you get it home, you're like, oh, this tank doesn't work. But on the flip side, in an argument from my experience, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fish tanks in my fish room down here that are all been from Facebook Marketplace, and I haven't had a single issue with it, which is amazing because one of those 75-gallon tanks down there was from a marketplace, and it was sitting in a garage, and there was stuff on top of it, and I was just kind of like, it was cheap. I think the guy just wanted to get rid of it, and he was right down the road from me, and it was just sitting in his 1-car garage with a bunch of other storage stuff. But it's still kicking. Sometimes you just have great luck with fish tanks, knock on wood, but sometimes Facebook Marketplace is okay. And I guess, if there's a certain brand, because that's one thing I did ask about, and he did tell me the brand was Marineland. And shockingly enough, with Marineland and what's the other one? I can't think off the top of my head, but I've had good luck with Marineland. I've had good luck with I can't think of the name of it. Tip of the tongue. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I guess generally speaking, coming back to all this, is that have a backup plan and buy a tank that that you trust and you had good experience with in the past, and just keep an eye on things with your fish tank, and then have a backup plan. If something were to happen, do you have an extra spare tank just in case something were to happen? Do you have an extra filtration source? Even a bin, like, even if for that matter, just have a bin that you can go to Walmart, Home Depot, or Lowe's, and just have a spare setup, even like an extra filter in your fish tank. So that way, if something were to happen, you can transfer that filter into a giant tote, like a 32-gallon tote or something like that, to move your fish into. So for the time being, while you're fixing a fish tank, or if something were to happen that's unpredictable that could happen, that you have something spare to back up with, to keep your fish alive. Fluval has been are really good tanks too. I do agree, Ian. So yeah, I really can't complain with this tank, Mom. I really, it's been a huge process for this tank, and I really can't complain too much. I've really loved it a lot. It was well worth the wait. So, so 2 bonus things I want to talk about before I end tonight's live stream is a learning curve. And these bonus points aren't necessarily something to be afraid of or be scared of, but these are just some things to keep in mind when you're doing your fish keeping and keeping your tanks up and running and thriving, for sure. Tim's got a canister and sub on his 90-gallon. I've really loved the YouTube community support between the Fish Fam and the YouTube support of the people that I've talked to, exchanged phone numbers with. That is where I have gained my best knowledge, and that is where I have gained the most acquaintances and friendships, per se, just because of the fact that we help each other out, and we're not here to bash each other, unless we do it in a joking manner, of course, and give each other a hard time, because that's always fun. we all know we do it. We like to give each our fish keepers a hard time, all joking, of course. But it's just been a really down to earth and very, very just really well-rounded community here within YouTube. Going to fish swaps, going to the auctions and stuff, and seeing these people from YouTube, and just in general, just getting to get that learning curve, um, and getting that knowledge and really taking in everything that you possibly can to help with each other and each and every one of us to help each other keep these fish happy and healthy in these glass boxes. And as that learning curve progresses and gets better, it's a lot to do. And even to this day, I'm learning to keep my plants alive. I still have my planet tank, but I've had half of them die off, so I'm still learning on that. But with their learning curve to learn with that is it's important to keep that with you and take it with you in the future. I hope that all makes sense, with all that being said. And I want to personally thank each and every one of you guys who've come in to stop and watch my live stream and I've connected with backstage, and the people that I've gotten to know through chat and through Marketplace, and everybody else who's watching here on Facebook and even Twitch, if for that matter. Like, I really enjoy each and every one of you guys' attention, and I can't thank you guys enough for helping me out with this journey, because honestly, I probably couldn't have done it without all you guys helping me out, especially when it comes to knowledge on how to set up tanks and how to maintain certain situations. People that are experts on the planet tanks, they've helped me out a little bit, and I still plan to keep doing that in 2026. And the people that have helped me move this beast behind me down here, my brother including, he was a huge help in that. And then people from work, they helped me get it in place. And then just learning from the people in the YouTube community, going on their live streams and then going backstage and talking to them. There's a lot of knowledgeable people within these different live streams that I've joined with, that even if you're not commenting on it, you can at least take in some information and put it into your own fish room and then go from there. So it's been very, very nice to have. And the support and knowledge on social media is awesome. And it's taught me everything I never knew, which is exactly what I just talked about, Ian. And if you're patient enough, this is my final bonus point for this fish keeping, this topic tonight. And like I said, not necessarily scary, but just being patient. That is so hard to do in life in general. And I understand that completely. Sometimes, if you're patient enough, it'll definitely pay off in the future. I feel like that's something that can be very rewarding. And plants take a long time to grow, especially if you buy them when they're real young. And I feel like that's something I got to continue to be patient with and learn from. And as far as just learning in general, as far as you might have some failures in time, within your fish keeping career, and you might learn some stuff, fish die off, and you have no rhyme or reason why, or you might have equipment failures, or you might have some ecosystem that failed on you within your fish tank that you have no idea what happened, or you're trying to get the disease that you're trying to diagnose, your unpredictability. It's all something that we all have to learn together, and we help each other as time goes along. But as long as we're patient and we learn from it and we get through it and apply our knowledge that we've learned from into the future with this YouTube community and everybody else that I've met through here, I can't thank you guys enough for helping me out with this. I can't thank you enough for helping me with YouTube technology. And it has been a struggle bus trying to get this far already. And I'm still learning at the same time to get high quality stuff for you guys. And also try to entertain you guys at the same time with useful knowledge, useful information, and to prepare my live streams to help you guys out as well. And huge thank you to Shadow Shrug, Tim, who's been helping me through the technical parts of this. Because I think without him, I would be going through this blindfolded, and it'd just be me saying, "Hey, Google, what do I do with this?" Shut up, Google. I'm not talking to you. I'm just setting an example. My phone just came up. Anyways, wonder if your guys' phone came up too when I said that, if you guys use that. But anyways, it's been about an hour. I've gotten every point that I've come across, and I appreciate you guys talking with me throughout this chat and this live stream. It's been fun talking to you guys about the future, and I'm sure that you'll hear from me tomorrow on Jesse's live stream as well. But I feel like this is just a topic that I really like to reiterate at the beginning of each year, and just every so once in a while, just to make fish keeping not so scary and be more rewarding, and be patient, because you'll be fine, you'll do fine, and I promise you it'll all be worth it in the end. You're going to have some mistakes, you're going to have some failures, but with that becomes more knowledge and more experience, as my price tag experience channel says. And with that experience, you'll learn from it, and you'll be an even better person, an even better fish keeper in general. So thanks again so much for coming in on my live stream and listen to me ramble on about the different tips and tricks on how to not be afraid of fish keeping and just hobbies in general. I hope you guys have enjoyed this live stream. I'm going to head out for tonight. Take care, be safe, be happy, be healthy, stay warm for the people here on the snowstorm that's about to happen here tomorrow night through Monday. And take care of yourselves, take care of your fish, and have a good one. Good night.